Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? Welcome and welcome and welcome. I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, and this is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. And I'm so happy you're joining me today. So, welcome. This is, as I said, Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. Colleen Vanderzijden. I am a registered medium at Lilydale Assembly, which is the largest spiritualist community in the world. And I am also a certified intuitive life coach. And as a life coach, I help people live their best lives and decide how they want to live and get through their problems. As you're joining me, please make a comment and let me know you're here. I would love to know your name and where you're from. Hi, Denise. Nice to see you. I hope your weather is good. It has turned cooler up here. It was in the 40s the other day. Horrible. So anyway, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. Tonight we are going to be talking about wisdom from the afterlife, and I will get to that in a minute after I do the details of everything I need to be detailing for you. Not the least of which is Lilydale Assembly Incorporated on Facebook. Please follow Lilydale there. My page, and I am live on Lilydale's page as well as my own page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. Please follow me there. I know I've invited a whole bunch of people to follow me or like my page. And sometimes people, you probably do the same thing I do. You get the invites and you go, I'll check it later. And when I get back to that, sometime I'll go back and I'll like all the pages. You might want to check and see if you are following me. That would be awesome if you would. So hello, everybody. Thank you again for joining me. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kayla. Nice to see you. Hi, Ashley and Annette and Jennifer. And so we are, as I said, going to be talking about wisdom from the afterlife. We have so many questions, don't we, about the afterlife and what spirit wants to communicate with us. And as a medium, I've obviously been talking to spirit for quite some time. And so all sorts of things have come in over the years that I want to share with you. Some bits of wisdom that you can use to guide you as you make choices in your physical life. I will answer some of the more standard questions that people have as well. But there is so much to talk about when we're talking about the afterlife and the wisdom that we can get from there, that please do make comments and ask questions, because I'm prepared. I have all sorts of things I want to say to you, but sometimes you ask the best questions and can help bring in more information that other people might want to know. So feel free at any point to ask questions, make comments, and if you've watched me before, I will go back and I will look for them. Let's see, I'm going to just check and see who else is here again. Hi, Raquel. Nice to see you. Everything is great here. Hi, Jolene and Ray. Hi, Ray. And Randy. Yes, and Joanne. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here with me tonight. I have learned, I got an email from Facebook that told me that someplace on my live feed is a bell icon, B-E-L-L, a bell icon. If you click on that bell icon, you will actually get notified when I go live. I had no idea about this, but I got an email, so I thought I'd share. So anyway, if you want to do that, feel free. Let me know if you find that bell icon. So here we go. Let's talk about wisdom from the afterlife. Over the years, I have had so many mediumship clients ask me all sorts of questions, lots and lots of different questions. And although sometimes the clients want to know if their loved ones are happy on the other side, that they're okay, that they're not in pain anymore, or they want to know what heaven is like, or what the spirits do there, and that's a very human question, asking what spirits do there. Even though they've asked me those questions sometimes, most of the questions I get asked are actually centered around the client's lives, right? It makes sense, right? We're in our lives. We want to ask spirit what is going to happen in our lives, what we should be doing. We want to know the outcomes of our problems, and we hope spirit will tell us, usually what we want to know, our answer, but we want spirit to tell us these things, which they may or may not do. And lots of times, we're asking spirit for guidance, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I believe you should ask spirit for guidance. Sometimes people, my clients on occasion, will get really caught up with spirit has to tell me what to do. It's like these people are not thinking for themselves. They want spirit to do this. And as I'm thinking about this, and how we react to life as humans and our questions. These questions are very normal and natural, aren't they? They really are. We have questions we may have asked our spirits when they were alive. These questions, we wanted their guidance, we wanted their input. And now they're on the other side, and we still want that guidance and input. And sometimes, too, we ask Spirit to tell us what to do or how life is going to come out because of the uncertainty. We are uncomfortable in uncertainty in our lives. And these questions are one way we try to reassure ourselves that life is going to be okay. We want Spirit to tell us, yes, life is going to be great. It's going to be perfect. You're going to get everything you want. But what if we're asking the wrong questions here? What if our questions should be less about the focus on our physical lives and more about how to live? What if we were to ask Spirit, what is really important for us as we move forward on this physical adventure of life? What do we really need to know? I have the theory that Spirit, once we pass over to the other side, that we have access to a greater amount of wisdom. We have access to anything we could possibly want to know. This does not mean that every soul, as they cross to the other side, automatically gets there. There are some who I still feel might need to evolve a little bit more. But my theory is if you're open to that and you want it, when you pass over, you have access to everything. So if we have access to everything, that's part of the source of some of our questions, right? Well, they know what's going to happen, so they should tell us. But they also have a bigger sense of wisdom than we do. And they may feel that there are other things that are more important than the answers to the question of what's going to happen in our lives or what should we do. So what kind of spiritual wisdom or beliefs would Spirit want to share with us as we journey through this physical life? I have learned so much from communicating with spirits. I had such preconceived notions about what spirits would say and everything. And having done this for quite some time now, I've learned a lot, and I am going to share whatever comes into my head, answer any questions that come to you, whatever. So the comments I'm going to make tonight are based on the premise that there is an energetic space that we might call heaven or the afterlife. There is this space, this location, this vibration of divine love, of that divine light, and of consciousness. Okay? It's not just a black hole. This all comes, everything I'm going to talk about has come from my readings, and also come from reading about near-death experiences, etc. So I have a belief there is a heaven. There is a space where the souls go back to reconnect with the divine, right? And our soul is a part of this light, this love, this consciousness. When our physical bodies pass, when we die, we actually transition. Our soul, our spirit, returns, if you will, to the afterlife or heaven. I don't know what people do who believe that there is nothing beyond this physical existence. So when we lose somebody, right, if they don't believe that we have a soul and that our soul continues on, how hard that must be for them to lose somebody important and think that that's it. It's over. It's done. You'll never, ever experience them again. You'll never reconnect with them again. I would think that it must be so very painful. My having the belief that we have a soul and the soul continues helps me as I move forward in life because I know they're still around me. And so that is kind of the premise for some of my comments that I'm going to make tonight. And again, please do ask questions as we go. If you have specific questions, even if they don't have anything to do with what I'm saying, you know me, I'll talk about anything. So feel free. So to answer first some of the common questions that people ask me, and then I'll move into more of the beliefs, ideas, and wisdoms that you can use to guide yourself, okay? I've had many spirits tell me that passing to the other side is easy. That they were here in the physical and then they basically just stepped over to the other side, like literally like going through a doorway. Even if their body suffered and something horrible was happening, or they were in pain, or their body was ravaged by cancer or something, they tell me so frequently that even if their body suffered, that their soul, their being, who they truly are, did not suffer. And that's quite reassuring for us here in the physical, isn't it? Because we don't want to focus on that hard part that they experienced in the physical. But their soul says no, that they didn't really feel that, okay? And so they tell us so frequently not to worry and not to focus on that part of them. You know how we can get caught up if something really tragic happens. We can get caught up with how someone passes, and it can really traumatize us and prolong our grief. Okay, so if you recognize that their body may have looked like it was suffering, but they themselves did not feel it. That can really help us and can give us a more broad perspective on how life is for us here. Many times their messages are wanting to reassure us that they are okay and that you are okay as well, that they are happy and they want you to be happy too. And they truly emphasize that their desire is for you to live your life fully with as much joy as possible. Another message, of course, that comes through frequently is that they want us to know that they're still here. Sometimes people will say, do they miss us here? You know, does the spirit miss us here? And invariably, spirit will answer that question with, how can I miss you? I'm right here. I'm right next to you. I haven't left. So spirit does not miss us because they're right here. Whenever we need them, they're right here. So they're still around us, even if we can't physically see them or we can't feel them, but we can know that they are still there. I have had no other message that says anything different than that. It is always, if they mention this in a reading, it's always about we're right here. Sometimes they'll discuss heaven and what it's like on the other side. So I thought these would be some fun things to talk about a little bit tonight before I get to my wisdom messages. But as I'm doing a reading, I'm channeling. Okay, so I don't remember everything I've said, but some really cool information has come through. But briefly, heaven, that space, that vibration. We are here in this physical space. And heaven is just another vibration right next to us. It's right here, right next to us. So they want us to know that it's not like, you know, some of us who grew up in more traditional religions, we were told that heaven was in the sky somewhere. And well, yeah, it's in the sky somewhere, but it's also in the air around us. It's in the vibration around us. And they talked as well about this, how close we are. And it's literally I don't even know what the word, a cell away. It's so close. And they talk about how it's beyond what you can imagine. Heaven is beyond your most amazing thoughts, dreams, beliefs about what heaven is. And when they communicate this to me, what heaven can be like for them, it is so much of the time of a feeling for me. And it's very hard to describe in words. So it's a feeling of expansiveness, of connection. They talk about how the beauty is beyond, again, what we can imagine, that the love is just pervasive, and that's the most important thing. Excuse me. They also talk about the colors that are present. You know how sometimes when you see something and the color is just so vibrant and you think, wow, this is so beautiful. That's heaven multiplied. Multiply that color by 100 and you'll probably get closer to what the color would be. Same thing with the sounds, the beauty of the sounds, the music, the angelic realms. So everything is so much more wonderful than we can conceive of. So many of us have a fear of passing, of dying, of course, for many reasons. Some is what could happen in our body. Some is also, where are we going? You know, do we really believe there is this heaven on the other side? Do we really believe there's this afterlife where it can be so amazing? So I have verification from Spirit that yes, it is this. So that can help us as we journey through our lives, because then we can start to release some of this fear of death. The fear of what might happen, you know. If we did grow up in a traditional religion, some of them are very fear-based, aren't they? You've got to believe this or you're going to hell. Hell is another whole topic. I don't believe in a hell, okay? So I'm not even going to touch on that. I do believe we can create a hell here, but I don't believe there is a hell. So all of this, all my thoughts, my experiences, my beliefs come from my communication with Spirit. They also come from people I've talked to who've had near-death experiences. So we are going to talk about, so much tonight. So let's see. I'm going to just check the comments and then I'm going to get to some some more things. Understand that the passing is freedom from their suffering, and releasing them is one of the most loving things we can do for them. Yes. And how many times have so many of us sat with somebody on their deathbed, if you will? And that's such a interesting word, but we've sat there with them and we pray for them to cross because we want them to be released. We want them to return to source energy. We want them to reconnect with their loved ones who have gone to the other side. And we have set aside our own grief and our own pain as we encourage them to step over to the other side. Leanne is saying, hell is our own guilt. Ooh, that's a good one, Leanne. That's an excellent one. Yes. And so so much of the wisdom that we're going to discuss lies on these premises, these beliefs that I have gotten from Spirit as to what it is like there. And also some of the suggestions they've given clients, or even directly to me for myself, that we can take and use as a guide. We can get this wisdom through a medium, or we may even channel our loved ones ourselves. We might also have inner knowings. You know how sometimes you just know something and you know it's true? You're absolutely sure it's true. That's an inner knowing. Your soul is letting you know this is true and it is true for you. So you can get wisdom this way as well. We can get wisdom from people who've had near-death experiences. And frequently when people have those near-death experiences, they want to share what they learned. And there's so many books out there, and you can read all sorts of different stories that people have had and their experiences, whether they were on the other side for 20 seconds, 15 minutes, 10 seconds, they can still have the most profound experiences. So today I'm going to give you a little compilation of wisdom from the other side that can help us as we live our lives. I have 8 ideas to talk about in no particular order. And again, please do ask questions, make comments. There's so much that we can discuss when we're talking about receiving this wisdom and guidance from the other side that you may make a comment and I'll go, yes, of course, I forgot that one, so there may be something like that. Let's see. Yes, people are not, and my mother is actually saying my brother was not afraid before he passed. And so many people who, as they get closer to passing, I believe they get this download of information from the other side that helps them look at the passing from a different perspective. It's like Spirit comes in and says, you know what, we've got your back. It's all good. It's great. And we also do know, and it's been proven with all sorts of science, experiment things and all that stuff, studies, that Spirit from the other side, when we are getting ready to pass, our friends, our family are getting ready to pass, Spirit from the other side will come in to help us. So if you ever see somebody who is getting closer to passing and they're talking, oh, my mom is here, but their mom is on the other side, or my husband is here, but again, my husband is on the other side, that means Spirit is coming in to help them as they journey to the other side and take that step over. And it's amazing when that happens. So if you ever do see this happening, where somebody says, oh, they're there, and you look around the room, you don't see anybody there, and you think, oh, no, they must be, having a problem with their mind. No, they're probably not. And you can say, that's wonderful, and show me where they are, and what are they saying to you? Ask questions, be curious. And that will really help the Spirit, as well as your loved one who's getting ready to cross easily. So you can show that interest and believe the spirits are there to help guide them to the other side. They are always there. Ashley's saying, my cousin passed away 2 weeks ago from COVID at the age of 50. Oh, isn't that horrible? We're so sorry about that. How soon is too soon to try to connect with him? There's a couple points with that. One is, I tell people, if they're in new grief, somebody has passed fairly recently, and we're still in that tough grief, I tell them to wait a bit until they have gotten through the worst of the grief. Because what will happen is if somebody is very strongly in grief, they want to hear certain messages, they want to hear certain things, and that may not necessarily work that way. We want to make it as open as possible. And somebody who's in grief can be very stuck and rigid in one thing. So it depends on how the physical person is. The Spirit can communicate in a second and a half after they have passed over, and sometimes do. So there's just two things to consider, where the physical person is in terms of receiving the message from the other side, and the spirit they'll just come in if they want to come in, whenever they want to come in seconds. Annette is saying, my dad talked to so many relatives before he passed. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Is it possible for a 2-week-old baby to have an out-of-body experience and remember? Ooh, that's an interesting question, Pamela. Why not? I mean, why not? Interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. But yes, why not? My husband passed away 14 years ago. I used to receive messages in various ways from him, but no longer. Sometimes people are concerned about that because, they'll go, I haven't felt him in a long time. Are they okay? Are they still here? Are they still with me? Sometimes people think, oh, did they reincarnate and they left me? Okay, so I'm going to get to the other side myself and they're not going to be there. To get rid of some of that fear-based thought, my theory on reincarnation is if we reincarnate, there is still an aspect of our soul on the other side. So if I pass and I'm on the other side and I'm waiting for my loved ones to come there, but then I decide, I'm going to go reincarnate for a little bit. So I come back in, but then, my husband comes over and I'm still on the other side as well. So my theory is our soul can be in both places at once. So for reincarnation, that's my theory based so far on my experiences. I also believe that our spirits are around us all the time, whether or not they send us messages. Sometimes it's really nice for us, right, to get those messages. And if we haven't had them in a while, there's nothing wrong with asking for it and say, hey, could you come in? I'm just really missing you. And I'd love to hear from you again. Just could you give me a sign that you're around me? I would love to hear that. And sometimes they will accommodate us that way. Also, I have found so far in my readings that spirit will come in to when we need them the most, if we're struggling with something or if we're having a particular problem, spirit seems to be more supportive and around us during those times. And as physical time progresses, we may find that we don't need those signs as much anymore because, we've settled in and our loved ones on the other side say, hey, you're doing pretty well down there. I'm around, so it's okay. And they don't feel that particular need to come in. That's my theories based so far as of today. So they are still around you, even if you're not getting signs. But if you want them, feel free to ask. Now, one of the first things that spirit communicates and wants us to know so very strongly is that there is more to life than this physical existence. And I've kind of touched on that a little bit already. Although we're sad when we lose our people, our physical people, right? But if we understand that their energetic being is still around us, that can help us process that grief. Spirit communication verifies all of this. Like, how does that even happen? How is it possible that spirit communication can happen? It's all energetic. And if we can recognize there's more to life than the physical, we can start to shift our perspectives and move into a better sense of what our priorities really are. It's very easy for us to get caught up in our physical lives, right? Because we're physical beings. So we get caught up in the physical problems, the jobs, the money, the stress, the worry. But if we start to balance and recognize that there's more than the physical, that energetic part, that divine, beautiful energy that's there, that energetic energy is actually more important than the physical, we can start to move in a different understanding about how life works. This energy is limitless. It is abundant. It's connected to everything. And sometimes when we're overly attached to the physical, it can make it hard for us to connect to that energy. So with this message from Spirit that there is more to life than the physical, which is proven every time you feel Spirit around you, right? We want to rebalance our perspectives, focusing more on that energy. When we are focused that way and our priority is that, it's easier to navigate life's challenges. And I will talk a little bit more about energy in a few minutes, but it is easier when we do that. Another thing that people say is, hold on, I'm going to check the comments. Kathy is asking, have you ever had a spirit who drained energy from someone? Oh, that's a tricky question, Kathy. Let's see. You know how we talk about energy vampires? And those are the physical people here in life who sometimes just kind of suck your energy out of you. I have never had a spirit come in. I've never had an experience with a spirit where my energy was drained by them. I have had several experiences where my energy was drained after a reading, but it was my fault, not spirit's fault. And that was because I was trying too hard to accommodate maybe the physical person in front of me and make sure they were happy with what was happening. So I guess I haven't experienced that. So that's the best I can answer that for now. Oh, Greg is saying studies with young children with NDEs show they remember them. There are also reports of people remembering later about a near-death experience and the memory had been buried, sometimes when they are very young, even as young as what did she say, 2 weeks old? Isn't that amazing? But why not, right? I mean, our spirit and our soul. I have memories that my parents said are impossible because I was just a baby. You know, your soul remembers though, right? I mean, your soul would remember these things. So I don't see why they can't still be in your soul. Same thing with past life experiences. So you might remember a past life experience. You didn't experience it in this lifetime, but your soul remembers. So why can't your soul remember everything? That's my theory right now as of this minute. Okay, so now the second thought I had here about spiritual wisdom and to use some of these ideas as a guide is that we physically are spirit. We are soul. We are a soul. We are of the God source, the divine energy, the consciousness. We are this. And spirit likes to talk about how we are that. Okay, we tend to think of ourselves as separate, especially because many of us have been brought up in a traditional religion that emphasized that. But we are the God energy. So, with that in mind, that our souls are the God energy, consider the idea that we chose to incarnate into our physical situations and existence to help our soul evolve. I did talk about this on a previous show sometime last year. Don't know when, but it is out there somewhere. So we have chosen to incarnate. You may have heard this before, that we are spirit living in human form. Okay, what does that mean? It means we've chosen to come to this lifetime and be a human for certain reasons. So why did we choose to come here in this physical lifetime? If we're on the other side and everything is great and we're in that love and we're feeling wonderful, why would we decide to come into this physical life? Because this is a great place to learn. We come into this lifetime so our souls can evolve even further. We came into this lifetime to experience the joy and the sorrow. We came into this lifetime to experience the freedom and the judgment. We came into this to experience the love and the hatred. We came into this life to reclaim our soul's love, our power, and strengthen and remember our connection to the divine energy. That's why we came here. Because when we come in here, we forget. As babies, we remember, but we can't communicate. It's hard for us to communicate as a baby, right? We can't say, hey, by the way, yesterday I was over there in Spirit Land and this is what I knew over there. We can't do that. So we forget and then we have to remember again because it strengthens our connection to the divine and who we are. Our problems and challenges help us evolve and remembering who we truly are at our soul level. We remember that we are that divine love, which is so, so important here. Okay, I'm checking the comments again because you guys are writing great things. Ooh, thanks for posting that article, Greg. Is there a way to tell something is an actual past life memory as opposed to just a dream or feeling? Greg, you want to answer that one? Greg does past life regressions. Okay, Greg Unterberger does past life regressions and he can do them online. So if you've ever wanted to have one, just find him. You can find him right there by clicking on his name right there. My theories, and I do not do past life regressions, but I know some of my past lives. When I know what is true for my past lives, it feels right to me. Like I know it's true. You know, there's certain things, like I know I drowned in a past life. I know that for a fact. And that affects how I live in this lifetime because I will not go deep water. Okay. And I could try to take care of that, but I'm not in the mood. So it will feel true to you. And I'm sure Greg will give you guys, if he's still watching, I hope he is, he can answer some of those questions because he does do past life regressions. So, very interesting, though, isn't it? Life is so interesting, especially when you think about that past life stuff and that we can get wisdom from the other side. How amazing is this? And to be able to look beyond our physical existence and start to see these things and recognize it. Oh, very exciting. Okay, the third thing I want to talk about is humans. We don't remember the oneness. We forget that we're one with the divine. We forget we're one with everybody else. We've forgotten to love ourselves and everyone. And that, of course, is a pure love, not an egotistical, conditional form of love. We've forgotten the value of connecting to other people on a sincere, kind, genuine, empathetic level. We are particularly noticing this now, of course, culturally and in the society. And that's why it's very important for each of us to make that individual choice to remember the oneness, that how we treat another is how we treat ourselves. How we treat another is how we're treating the divine, the universal energy as well. You know, we have to pay attention to this. In readings, I was surprised at how frequently spirits would talk about how important their relationships were. That this was the most important thing. How they or the clients physical clients I had would interact with each other, how they were there for each other, how they supported, encouraged, and loved each other. The apologies that would frequently come through were often centered on how the spirit treated another person. From the vantage point of the other side, they could see and understand from a much higher perspective. Relationships are very important because they are a part of the oneness. How we connect to each other is an example, a strong indicator of the oneness. When we can feel empathy for another, that's when we're back in the oneness. You ever notice sometimes you just see, you're talking to somebody and even though their words might be saying that everything is fine, you feel inside that it's not. Everything is not fine. It's because you're connecting with them on a vibrational, energetic level. And so you are experiencing the oneness. You're feeling how they're feeling. Empathy is one of the greatest signs of oneness. Now remember, a little aside here for you. In the physical lifetime, feeling empathy and understanding how another person is acting, feeling, what their beliefs are, whatever it is, doesn't mean we put up with abuse. It doesn't mean we're a doormat and we allow people to walk all over us. We can experience the empathy. We can understand how they're feeling. This does not mean we give them permission to walk all over us or abuse us or be rude or critical or judgmental. Okay, we are here in the physical, so we still have to protect our energy in the physical. Many people who have had near-death experiences do comment about how we are not separate from the source energy. And if everybody, is not separate, that means, again, we are all connected. We are in that oneness. So to step into that oneness would be to choose to connect with people, to be authentic and genuine, to strengthen that. That may be one of our most important lessons at this time during this consciousness shift that we're all experiencing right now in the physical, is to reclaim the oneness. And each of us who chooses to do that spreads and ripples that energy out to everybody else. Okay, going back to the comments. The famous psychic Edgar Cayce says, we choose our parents from the other side, so we learn very specific life lessons. Yes, that is very true. That is true. Okay, the number 4 thing I want to talk about is that Spirit talks about going with the flow of the energy. Humans like to make life more difficult than it is. We don't intentionally do it, but we do it. We feel like we have to try, we have to force, we have to control. We can get stuck in fear, of course. And when we get stuck in fear, we tend to use fear as a guide towards making our decisions. But what if instead we were to go with the flow, the energetic flow? It's like paddling downstream in a creek. We follow the flow of the water and we use the water to avoid the obstacles, right? But some humans would rather paddle upstream against the current. They might be trying to prove something to themselves or to other people, and of course, that's going to make their lives more difficult. Sometimes people are just too stubborn and they don't want to change their minds and turn around. This is the way it is, so I have to do this instead of going, you know what, this isn't working. Maybe I should change direction, right? Sometimes fear says what we knew upstream is more comfortable than the possible unknowns downstream. So we end up struggling against the current rather than going with the flow. But if we go with the flow, life is so much easier. It is so much easier. Pieces fall into place out of the blue. It's like miracles happening all over the place. And Spirit talks so much about going with the flow of life and allowing things to come to you rather than trying to force or control. When we do this, we go with the flow. We're using the energy to create our lives. This involves checking in with ourselves and going, what feels right? Sometimes thinking gets us in trouble, doesn't it? Because when we start thinking, that's when we move into worry. We go to the pros, the cons, we go back and forth. So if you think about this, going with the flow is recognizing how you feel. So I tell people to play with getting to know your energy, what feels right to you and what feels wrong. That gets you in the energetic flow of life. Okay, I'm checking to see what Greg wrote about past lives. There is no way to tell with certainty that a flash is actual past life memory. I'm reading this for the people who are listening on Blog Talk. Okay. Having said that, when my clients are regressed, sometimes they have powerful emotional responses to the images that they see from past lives. These emotions are so powerful that they are self-validating for the client. How could I have these powerful emotional responses to what I'm seeing in my mind's eye if I was just making this up? How could I even do that? And there are some people have had past life memories who have been able to fact check them specifically by name or specific certain circumstances historically. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's just amazing. And with that emotional response, it's true. You'll just know. It's like when we have an intuitive hit. It feels like a fact to us. It's just a fact. Yeah, and you can learn more about that online. And again, you can contact him if you want to have a past life regression sometime. So the fifth thing I'm going to talk about now is trust. And I have talked about trust a lot. Now, you have probably gathered by now that a lot of what I talk about in my shows is based on my experiences, which of course is going to include readings and things like that. And so I have talked about trust a lot, and this does come from my own personal growth as a medium, as an intuitive life coach, and just as a person who, one of my passions is spiritual development. So trust that your soul knew what it was doing. Let me try that again. Trust that your soul knew what it was doing before it incarnated. Trust that you had a plan for what you were going to do when you got here. If you have a lot of problems, you might wonder about this and go, man, what was I thinking? Or if you chose those parents that were more challenging and you think, whoa, what was I thinking then too? But if you can think about this from a higher perspective, what could you be learning from this situation? That, as Greg would like to say sometimes, is that you can only learn from this situation. Okay, how is it ideal in helping you learn something about yourself? Is there a lesson? Is there a message? The message could be something like you have to trust that the situation is here, that you chose to incarnate to experience whatever you're experiencing because you need to develop more inner strength. And you thought before you incarnated, I'm going to do this because I know it's going to make me stronger. Maybe you need to learn to stand up for yourself. Maybe you need to figure out what your priorities are. Maybe you wanted to realize, and I mean realize, embody your divine nature. Maybe you needed to learn to trust spirit or God. Maybe you needed to learn how to release fear. Okay, so trust can lead you to so many things. Spirit says, trust us. God says, trust me. The divine energy says, trust. Trust that you're guided from the other side. Trust is huge, right? Trust you're guided. You have that that divine source, the energy that can help guide you. You can ask for help and expect to get guided. This isn't the demanding, I need to know this right now and you have to tell me. We want to ask for guidance and support, but recognize that this guidance is going to come from Spirit's perspective, not from ours. And as much as we would love to be told what's going to happen or what we should specifically do next, sometimes we don't get that message. Okay, sometimes it's more important from the other side, from Spirit's perspective, to say, you've got to figure this one out for yourself. Other times you will get the guidance. You never know. So you ask for the help and you expect it. Okay, but then you have to allow it to come to you. You don't sit there and go, I need you to tell me this, and this is what I want to hear. Tell me this is the way it's going to be. That is not allowing the guidance to come. That's controlling. That is fear-based. That is a human perspective. So you have to move into the allowing Spirit to guide you. Okay. Then the other part of trust is you have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself to make decisions that are right for you. Sometimes you will get that guidance from spirits, that flash of intuition, that knowing this is what I need to do. This is what is right for me. I can feel it. The more you're in the flow of energy, the more intuitive hits you're going to get. The more you're going to move into trusting how you're feeling because you're checking in, because you're in the energy. Then the more you trust yourself, the more you trust yourself, right? Lots of times a message from Spirit, they may not tell you what's going to happen, what to do, but what they will say is, you've got this. We've got your back. We're here supporting you. Sometimes that's all we need, is to know that we have that support from the other side, that they love us, they're here with us, they're guiding us, and they are trying to emphasize to us sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that it's very important you make your own decisions on how you live your life. We have been trained to look elsewhere when we're making decisions. Is this the right answer? We ask people, we look to other people for validation, when really we need to go inside in our own soul. We need to figure out, is this right for us? That doesn't mean we can't ask other people for advice. It can be very nice to bounce ideas off of other people, right? Same thing with Spirit, okay? It's very important. We can ask them for help and we can allow them to bring it to us. And then we thank them for guiding us as best they can. But they will sometimes emphasize we have to make our own decisions, which then, of course, leads us to the big one, free will. You have free will. You have the ability to choose to do whatever you want. You have the ability to choose whatever you want to believe. You have the choice if you want to trust or not. The guidance from the other side will not supersede your free will. Okay? So if you're a drug addict and you're using drugs out every day, Spirit is not going to save you from the harm it's doing for your body. Highly unlikely, because you are responsible for your body, you are responsible for yourself, so you have free will. An important message from the afterlife, from Spirit, is that you are responsible for your life. You can choose to let fear go. You can choose to live in love. You can use your free will to create that adventure. You can use your free will to do whatever you want, to connect with others and to embrace that spiritual nature that is yours. Spirits want us to live fully and completely with as much joy and meaning as possible. I'm going to check the comments. Greg has posted a video, so you'll definitely want to check that. Let's see. Trust that when you scream to the universe that you need answers, that the answer they give will not be the one you were looking for. So true sometimes, right? So true. And you'll know if it's true or not. It'll feel right for you, even if you don't like the answer, or it leads you in a totally different direction. Yes. So number 7 of my wisdom thoughts today from the other side is find your joy, be happy. In readings, spirits always tell me they want their loved ones to be happy. If this comes up, it's not like I say these, it's not that I say these things in every reading. Okay, this is just what Spirit communicates, and this is over years that I've gotten this information. People who've had near-death experiences talk about the joy they experience on the other side and that all-pervasive love. And they want to replicate it here. Because of that love, they feel the joy, the freedom. That joy is directly from the divine or the source energy. When we're in the flow of the divine, we are in the joy. Sometimes people who are in grief feel like they can't be happy because they've lost someone, that it's somehow wrong to be happy. And sometimes people will say they don't feel like it's respectful to be happy after they've lost somebody important. And I can understand how they can think like that, but from Spirit's perspective, they disagree. And you're not disrespecting them by being happy. Okay, now this isn't, of course, it's not like somebody dies like today and then that day you're going to be happy. No, I'm talking about after you've processed your grief, of course, to a certain extent anyway. So although we miss them and Spirit understands it, they want us to be happy. They want us to enjoy our lives. And they, if they're still with you, I said this to somebody once that, I had a wife, a physical person in front of me. Her husband was on the other side. And they, of course, had lots of plans of things they were going to do in their life later. But then, unfortunately, her husband passed on the early side. And he was talking about all the trips they were going to go on. They wanted to go on all these trips in different places. And he said he was really happy she was going on those trips because he was going with her on the trips. So even though he wasn't physically present, he was still experiencing the trips with her. And that was a little bit reassuring for her to recognize that he was still around her and that she could still experience the joy. Now, granted, it is not the same, we know, as having him physically present, but he's there. And so he wants her to experience this joy. The next thing is, of course, maybe the most important one, is the love. It's all about the love. If our souls are a part of that divine energy, and again, we are, then is not the divine love. Then if that is true, and it is, then we are also that love. Lots of people who've had the near-death experiences talk about the unconditional love. They go into that light and they never felt anything so beautiful, so loving, so beyond comprehension. So with this, to take this wisdom into our physical existence here, we want to release the fear and step into the love. When we step into the love, we release the fear. We want to love ourselves. We want to stop being someone other than who we truly are at our soul level. We want to love ourselves and not judge ourselves. We want to love who we truly are. Now, Anita Moorjani wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, and she was very sick. She'd had cancer for years, I think 4 years or something, and literally within hours of passing, basically, and ended up having this amazing near-death experience, came back totally healed. And her book is very interesting, Dying to Be Me, so you might want to read that. But one thing she said was, I learned that my only purpose in life is to be a full expression of myself. That was her only purpose, she said. She learned she was supposed to be herself. So for you to express yourself in this lifetime, it does involve figuring out who you are, not only just these ideas I've talked about tonight in terms of the spiritual guidance and wisdom from the other side, but also who are you? Who do you believe you are? Do you believe you are the love, the part of God? Do you believe it? Do you believe that you are spirit? Do you believe there's more to life than this physical existence? If you take one of these ideas and really embrace it, this will really help. And you want to be living in the love. You want to be the love. So can you believe there is more to life than the physical existence? It is so easy for us to get caught up in that stress and the worry, isn't it? And the fear, this could happen, that could happen. It's so easy to do that. But what if you look at it and you go, wait, I'm just getting caught up in this right now. I'm going to instead look over here to spirit, source, the God energy, the divine energy, and that I am a part of that. I'm going to recognize that I am a part of that energy. And if I were a part of this energy, this God energy, which we are, How would I behave? What would I do? What would I believe? What is right for me? Who would I truly be? And then when we think about that even more, the oneness, we're back to the oneness. Can you believe that we are all connected and that you have a role to play here to amplify this oneness, to strengthen everybody's connections to each other? Then, of course, when we're talking about this, just pick one of these ideas and play with it. I'm telling you, make a huge difference. Going with the flow of the energy. The energy is the love energy. It is the love that is in everything. Even a person you dislike, there is a part of them in there that is loving. Even the part of yourself where you dislike that shadow side of yourself and you tend to beat yourself up or judge yourself a little bit about that. What if you turn it on its head and you start going, okay, how can I love myself to get past that shadow part of myself, that part where I judge myself? Spirit wants you to know how important love is here in this physical existence. And when you trust that love, when you trust the energy, when you trust the oneness, when you trust yourself, you're in this love so much. And using, of course, your free will. Notice I'm tying this all together. It's one big message that goes together. Free will. You can choose to be nice or not. You can do whatever you want. You can choose to step into the love. Sometimes I find it's harder to love ourselves than it is to love other people. And then we're back to Anita Morjani's comment, be a full expression of myself. And who are we? That being of love. When we're in the love, we're in the joy. It is a fact. It is just a fact. It is so interesting because, when we think of guidance from Spirit, when people come for readings, of course, we want to, bring up some memories maybe of our lives with Spirit, some special things that we just like to talk about. But I have found so much that the Spirit wants us to live our best lives from a spiritual perspective. And I don't mean that in a traditional religious sense, but from what is true for us. What is true? Is this our soul? Is this what we believe to be true? And it is so important for us to trust that energy. Danette is saying, on one of your shows, you talked about asking for guidance from divine energy. Oh, and you've been doing it since that show. Awesome. That's wonderful. That has, and I've said this many a time this year, that has been my theme this year is guide me. Okay. I want to be guided. It's all about trusting Spirit to show me the way. It's all about listening to all these messages I've gotten over the years for other people that are important for me to hear as well. And I'd love to share, of course, with you guys too, so that you can see what your life is about as well. And you can make those choices as to what is most important to you. How do you want to live? We are at a critical point right now in our physical existence, our lives, because of this consciousness shift. It's been going on for years, but we are at the critical point now. We watch what's happening around us, and there's so much fear out there. There's so many fear-based ideas and thoughts that are blocking us sometimes from trusting and from being in love. So I would suggest, maybe in this next week, that you pick one thing and you just try the best you can, because that's all we can do is the best we can, right? But if you stay focused on one thing, then you can choose how to respond to your life situations from that one thing, whatever it is. If it's new for you to believe that we are a part of the God energy, maybe it's that. If it's new for you to attempt and strive to go with the flow of energy, it might be that. Maybe you just really want to get right to the top and go for the love and respond to everything, every single thing from love. Okay, that means when you start judging yourself because you didn't respond with love, you go, oh, bummer, I just messed that one up. It's okay. I'm going to do better next time. So then you don't judge yourself. That's taking care of yourself, and that's responding to yourself with love too. There is so much here tonight, and I am so happy you joined me today. So this is the end of my show. I have talked about everything I could think of with this. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss any questions, but if I did, I will answer them when I go back through and like your comments and all of that. You can connect with me at my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com. Please do check to see if I've invited you to like my page, Colleen Vanderzijn, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. And even if I didn't invite you, feel free to like it. My book is coming out next month, I think. And, that's pretty exciting. And like Lilydale as well, Lilydale Assembly Incorporated, and lilydaleassembly.org is the website. And so that is everything I need to tell you in life. Let me see. I'm looking at your comments now. Thank you for the love. Great show. Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. Be happy no matter how difficult life may seem. Yes, and I'll talk about that for 2 seconds before I totally hang up. Leanne is saying, be happy no matter how difficult. We don't have to let our challenges, our problems, our issues overwhelm our lives. We don't have to. We can still choose to choose the joy. We can choose to choose the joy. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. We can choose to choose the joy. We can I'll try that. Compartmentalize things. Okay, we can set things aside and deal with them. We move into trust. The problems will take care of themselves. And they do. And they really do. I can't wait till more people step into the consciousness of self-love. I know, right? Self-love is so big. And it's so hard to do for some reason. We've been well trained not to love ourselves. That's why. Okay. Great topic. Yes, you're welcome. Nice to see you, Kayla. Yes, thank you. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me. You guys have an amazing night and an amazing week. I might ask you next week to see how you guys did. Make sure you tell me how you did stepping into some of this wisdom that Spirit wanted to share with you tonight. So definitely, I might ask you. I'm going to get a little homework from you. So you guys have a great night. Love you too, Mom. Okay. Love you all as well. You guys have fun. Bye.